Hi, everyone, and welcome to a Rescripted podcast. I am your host and personal development coach, Amy Quiles. And in today's episode, we are going to be discussing the difference between personal growth and personal development. What we're going to be discussing in this video today is actually the core reason as why I became a personal development coach. You see, so many of us realize that there's things that we've struggled with growing up, and sometimes they've led into our personal life as adults. And sometimes we realize it just hinders us so much that we really need to go and figure out how to work through that, how to heal through that. So we go to therapists, we go to professionals to help us navigate through all those things so that we could eventually feel whole. And a lot of us have great success with that, and we feel good. We feel like we're able to digest why we work the way we work, what are the mechanics behind some of our objectives, right? So that's nice because you get a sense of an involvement from that, right? You understand yourself a little bit better and things make more sense. Other ways that we develop ourselves is that we go ahead and we professionally develop ourselves. And this is the most common because we all need to figure out how to provide for ourselves, for our families. So usually we professionally develop first, right? After school, we go to college, different trades that we study to professionally develop ourselves, right? And that is where we develop and build our capabilities. And sometimes we have the privilege of doing both, being able to grow ourselves professionally and also grow ourselves personally. And that is such a beautiful awakening that you have. But if you've done that and you've been able to do both, you realize that after a while, you still feel a void. And no matter how much you've accomplished, no matter how much you've achieved, you still feel like this underlining low-grade pressure of not really feeling in alignment with what you're supposed to do. Internally, you feel like you're supposed to be achieving something, you're supposed to be accomplishing something, you're supposed to be a part of something, but you're not quite sure what it is. So you continue to do personal growth, you keep digging and diving and analyzing every part of yourself because you're like, well, there has to be something here, right? Because you feel a void, you feel an emptiness. So you keep digging and trying to figure out how to grow yourself. What else can you change? And you really start to get into the cycle of you're constantly trying to improve yourself. And if you've done that long enough, you realize there's nothing else to perfect. You are perfect just as you are. And there's nothing else except to live life. So then you look and say, okay, I probably need to develop myself more professionally, have more accolades behind my name, realize that I'm able to make a bigger impact. So you go and you get a different degree or you get other credentials and you pour yourself back into your community. You pour yourself back into your profession so you can climb that ladder, so you can finally feel that level of fulfillment that you know that's within. And then you do that for some time and you realize that it's still there, that agitating feeling of something is missing, something's not right. Because no matter what you accomplish, no matter how high on this ladder you get of success to achieve, you're still feeling like there is a void and you just can't seem to shake it, right? And it almost becomes like this void that you can't determine what it is. It's a void that just gets louder and louder. Well, then you become irritated with life because you're like, I've done everything. I've tried everything. And I still feel like I'm out of alignment and I'm giving up at this point because you're just like, what else? What else can I do? You go to different retreats, you go and explore and you travel and you try to figure out different things in life. But the core thing that's missing, the true thing that's missing in that you have personally grown, and that's so beautiful because you need that healing. And then you've professionally grown because that is also so important because we really need to know how we can contribute back to our life and to other lives. But there's something in between. There's something missing in the middle. A lot of people call it the messy middle. If you're in church and you've grown up in the church, you've heard it being called as like the waiting room in life. But it's a little bit more simpler than that because there isn't really a mystique to this. But there is the level of your alignment. Because although we go to school and we develop ourselves professionally, we're not really understanding what you were made for, what you're built to, and how to really hone into that capacity. Because furthering your education It helps you understand how to contribute in a more structuralized way, right? How you can serve businesses, how you can serve corporations, but it's all under a systematic way. But it's not showing you how to discover you, your true calling, your true purpose, your true development. You develop skills, but you don't really get to develop you. And that's what is such an important and crucial part about personal development, because with your professional development, if you just focus on that, then you're really just going to be performance based. And that is what's going to feel empty after a while, because then what happens? What happens when you achieved everything? You've achieved all those goals, you've accomplished everything that you wanted to. You still have to show up. You still have to continue to contribute, and now you're going to continue to succeed. But now you realize that the things that you were working so hard for aren't filling that void that you have. So then you start to realize these performance metrics, they don't really serve you anymore. They don't fit into your life anymore. Because the truth of the matter is you have already evolved. And although your skill sets, there's always more to learn, you're realizing it's not more skills that I need to attain to fulfill that emptiness. And then that's when you go further into looking at how to personally grow, right? You keep looking at how to improve yourself, but then you realize, although you're learning how to heal yourself, and then you get to a point where you're like, well, there's nothing else to heal. You realize that at the end of the day, although you can heal and feel whole, it's not really giving you the roadmap to who you really are, you know? So you just kind of stay in this perpetual self-analysis, and you're always trying to improve yourself to be whole. And then you realize, well, I am whole, but is that all? You feel like, is that really all? And no, that is not all. But that is all of what personal growth and professional development can offer. And then your next step, your next phase is personal development, which is really, truly sandwiched right in between those two. That is where you will find your messy middle. That is how you get to develop that area, that waiting room. You get to understand that journey through your personal development. And that is where I come in, your personal development coach. Because you see, I can help you discover what is out of alignment. Because trust me, I've spent years of searching, deep diving, investigating, uncovering, discovering, developing, trying, testing, all to see what is that void, what is that agonizing, irritating feeling of emptiness that just can't get filled. Because ultimately you're like, if I didn't feel this emptiness, how are you going to get fulfilled? That has to be fulfilled with something. If I feel empty, it needs to be fulfilled with something. And you have a loving family, you have a profession that you enjoy, you have a great active life, you have great friends, and you're just like, I enjoy my life. So you almost feel guilty. You almost feel guilty about this void. So you pretend to ignore it. You're like, that's just me. That's just me being silly. That's just me being in my head. That's just me being ungrateful. And you try to almost like blame yourself for this. And at the end of the day, what I've discovered and what I've coined as internal constraint is that your body is actually signaling something to you. And that internal constraint, it's when your psychological and your spiritual, when together, they're building like this tension because something is out of alignment. You see, you really do have a calling in your life. You really do have a purpose in your life. And although not everything may be out of alignment, something is, and your body's telling you, your intuition's telling you, your spirit is telling you, but it's not something that you're found in your healing, because your healing deals with your past. You can't find it in developing your skills, because it's not always in your skill sets. It's not always in what you can develop as a skill. It's your innate intuitive capability that it can't be taught. It can only unfold. It can only develop. It can only unravel as you discover that. Because as you discover it, you're able to understand it and you're able to develop that. And that is where you're going to really feel the fulfillment that you've been seeking for. That is where you're really going to feel purpose in everything that you do. And when you have accolades, whether small or big, you're going to enjoy them to the max, because you realize you are contributing to everything the way that you're supposed to. So you're not going to have that messy middle feeling anymore. You're going to feel aligned. But I will be honest, little disclaimer, that feeling is not something that you feel once. As you grow, as you continue to grow, as you continue to evolve, you're going to constantly feel that in life. But that is not a sign that you're broken. It is not a sign that there is anything wrong with you. But what it is signaling is that you are evolving. That is your signal that you are ready for your next season in life, your next level, because you are constantly and forevermore developing. But when you ignore that, when you ignore how you're supposed to evolve, your body's going to let you know. Just like if you have a bad diet, your body will let you know. Just like if you're overwhelmed, your body's going to signal that you're burnt out. But when you're out of alignment, your body signals that to you too. And that's what we help you with personal development. So if that sounds like you and you're like, yes, I want to figure out what my internal constraint is, because I have been dealing with this internal void, but I just don't know what it is, I've developed a quiz for you. And in that quiz, it analyzes the 5 major areas in life that keep us stuck from evolving. And if you find one, sometimes we have one, sometimes we have more than one, we have all 5. And I created a specific workbook for each to help you understand and navigate through that, so you can understand why that is a constraint for you and what is it signaling to you. But if you realize, no, personal development has been the missing piece that I've been looking for, and I just want to do the work, I just want to be able to start transitioning to that evolved version of me, because I know that that is where I've been stuck, then I invite you to book a call with me, and we can go ahead and discuss how my coaching can help you transition from where you are, struggling with internal constraint, and evolve into the version of you that you're meant to be. And of course, I will link everything down below so you could select the one that best suits you. Because it's time. It's time to let go of that internal void and work through these internal constraints so that you can feel fulfilled in everything that you do. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And if you enjoyed this episode and feel like it was insightful, then I ask you to please rate it, like it, and subscribe, and share it with someone you feel will enjoy it. I'll be back here next week, and we will continue to discuss matters regarding personal development. Take care, guys. Have a blessed week, and I'll see you next time.